Welcome to Holistic Accountant Podcast, where we aim to showcase how adopting a holistic approach in accounting and tax maximizes value for clients. Beyond traditional tasks like preparing financial statements and tax returns, a holistic accountant focuses on offering advice that maximizes personal wealth on an after-tax basis. If you enjoy this episode, please consider leaving a rating and sharing it with those who might also benefit. And to ensure you stay updated, subscribe to our weekly email. The link is in the show notes. Okay, so today Mena and I would like to talk about contractors versus employees. So if you're looking to scale your business and hire more staff, you're probably thinking about whether you should put them on a contract term or whether to have them as a permanent staff member, either full-time or part-time, whatever that might be. The treatment of contractors and staff differ somewhat, and also so do the liabilities that go along with it. But also it's really important to make sure that you're structuring your employee arrangements or contracting arrangements in a way that ensures that you fully understand your liabilities. That is, that it is possible, or the risk is that you think you've got a contract relationship, whereas other regulatory bodies might feel that you actually have a employee relationship, giving rise to greater liabilities. So, Mena, what are some of the things that we need to think about when we're thinking about, are they contractors or are they employees?
So the ATO give us basically 7 guidelines to go through when trying to deem whether a worker is either an employee or a contractor. And I'll just quickly work through these so I don't bore you too much.
Yep.
The first one is control. So in a contractor arrangement, the worker can choose how and where and when they would work, whereas an employee has somewhat of set hours and a set work task to do, and it's mainly controlled by the employer. The second one is integration. Whether the worker is integrated within your business, they continually come to your business at a set time and represent your business. So, for example, are they wearing your uniform constantly? Are they basically have one of your email addresses? Again, it's a combination of factors. Whereas a contractor might have their own business and provide services under their ABN or ACN or so forth. The mode of remuneration, so are you paid on an hourly basis or you're paid for a specific result? A contractor tends to be paid for a specific result. So for example, a good example is a plumber will come to your work and complete, for example, a repair. They're sort of ad hoc services that you'll do here and there. They're paid to produce a specific result. Whereas if you have a person coming in on a regular time each week to perform a particular type of work, then that is going to be deemed an employee. Especially if it's a commission-based work, then you're definitely going to be deemed to be an employee. And the ability to delegate is another one. So whether the contractor has the ability to either subcontract to someone else or delegate to another contractor within their business, or is it you employing a dedicated person or resource for that business? The fifth one is the provision of tools and equipment. If you're providing all the tools, equipment, insurances and so forth for that particular worker, then you're more so leaning towards an employee. Whereas if a contractor is bringing in all their tools of trade, they've got their own insurances, they're getting, and they've got the tools to produce a specific job target, then it can be you're erring on the side of being a contractor. What ties into that is risk as well, which is the sixth factor, whereas your insurances come into play. So if they've got their own insurances and wearing their own commercial risk, then you're going to be a contractor, whereas an employee would sort of have the insurance of the business that they're working for. And goodwill, which is one that often gets missed, is are there any benefits from any goodwill arising from the worker? So with a contractor, it's less likely, whereas with an employee, you would produce, they would have more value to a business.
As in they're creating goodwill for the business.
Correct.
So they're enhancing your brand experience and those sorts of things. So obviously if you've got a contractor, you have fewer liabilities in relation to that contractor. Obviously you've got a contract to provide services and a certain remuneration schedule, and then that's what you need to pay that contractor. If you've got an employee, of course, you need to have things like work cover. You've got to remit superannuation guarantee in relation to their salary. You've got to provide them with annual leave and sick leave and long service leave and these sorts of things. Now, many years ago, it was quite common for businesses to try and negotiate contracting relationships with their staff just to try and avoid some of those, those liabilities and obligations and so forth. The general theme these days, particularly of Fair Work Commission and even legislation, is to deem people more likely to be employees than contractors. So it's a higher risk these days to have contracting relationships in your business. Also, there used to be a lot of administration, particularly when you had to process super contributions manually and do pay slips manually and all these sorts of things. Now with single touch payroll and online accounting software providers like Xero and MyOb and so forth, it's a lot easier. The administration around these things has been greatly reduced or at least automated for you. So our view and our advice to clients is if there's a chance it looks like a contracting relationship, just make them employees and do everything that you need to do, and including building in the cost into your business of having those employees. But do everything you need to do is in treating them like employees. If they are really contractors, then just make sure that you're revisiting the arrangements and making sure those arrangements with your contractors look very much like contract relationships rather than employee relationships.
And I might just add, we spoke about this previously in another podcast, but reviewing if you're in a medical, dental or allied health industries, just to review your arrangements, your service fee arrangements. As we know that the State Revenue Office is currently on a warpath trying to get their payroll tax income up. So just be wary of those when drafting all your service arrangements and how you collect your patient fees and so forth.
So if you get some advice, just make them a contractor, or someone actually comes to you and says, I want to be a contractor, it really doesn't really matter too much in terms of managing your liability, what you think or what they think. It really matters what the law thinks and bodies like Fair Work Commission and so forth, because you might end up thinking you're in a certain arrangement, feeling like you understand your liabilities, and then one day you wake up and all of a sudden you end up having these liabilities and you've got to back pay super and do all those sorts of things. So just be really careful around that. And of course, every business and every arrangement is different. So obtaining your own tax and legal advice is worthwhile. Okay, that's it for us this week. Until next week, bye for now.